office again.
Donald Trump would not be able to run for office again.
Barring him from running for office again.
Disqualified from running for office.
Disqualify him from ever running from office again.
Disqualified from running for office again.
It's about focusing. He can never run again.
Remove him from ever running for office again.
He'll never be able to run for office again.
Ban former President Trump from running again.
I think this is president. Like,
there you have it. This whole charade of impeachment was to keep the president from ever running for office again. There was no insurrection on January 6th. Yes, there were rioters, and it shouldn't have taken place. But the impeachment that the Democrats put forth on January 7th was a charade, just like the whole Russia collusion. They're afraid of Donald Trump, so they wanted to stop him from running for the presidency again. And if the election of 2020 was on the up and up, don't they think the election of 2024 would be on the up and up and that they would be able to beat him again? Or could it be, as was written in the Time magazine article, a cabal of journalists, corporate America, and big tech, and members of the Democratic Party, and probably a couple of rhinos that came together, conspired, colluded, cheated, and lied to keep the truth from coming out. And now that they've succeeded, they're happy to tell their story in Time magazine as to how they lied and cheated and colluded. How did we get here? This is America, the country that I love. Thank you for joining me tonight. Rob J.H1 and Small Town Andrew, After Dark, and our guest, poet Ray Ray, journalist Heather Robinson, and social media commentator BB Diamond. How's it going, guys?
Good, Rob. Thank you.
Good, Rob. Thank you for having me on.
Cold in this part of the country.
Yes, thank you. Going well.
Cold in that part of the country, huh? So, without further ado, there is a lot that we've got to talk about. There's a lot we want to unpack. I'm sure that you've been following news. And I just want to give a couple of headlines to our viewers that are out there, some of the things that we're going to talk about that I think is just, we want to unpack all of this, be fair and balanced as possible. But just a couple of things we're going to talk about, of course, is the impeachment and how it was not, the conviction was not successful. They wanted to convict him. They did the impeachment, but to convict them, they weren't successful. Of course, we had our usual rhino to impeach the president. I also want to talk about this Representative Jamie Herrera Boutler, I think that's what she calls herself, who entered into the record a hearsay that she heard someone tell someone that told someone something that President Trump said. Now, of course, we know that if this were a real court, the judge would have dismissed it if the judge was being, judicious. We also want to talk about, let's see here, Andrew Cuomo and what he did in New York. While the media was praising him, giving him all these accolades, they were reporting the deaths of COVID-19, the China virus, in the nursing homes. Shameful. Also want to talk about this whole, on the entertainment side, The Bachelor, and this whole fiasco with something that some girl said that he is going to, he was going to pick. And I want to talk about Justin Timberlake, Britney Spears, and Janet Jackson. There's just a couple of things on the menu tonight. Oh, can't forget about the Lincoln Project and that little molester or that pedophile that they have. And of course, we can't forget about Biden's press guy, TJ Ducklow. There's a lot to unpack. There's a lot to discuss. So we're just going to jump in. So feel free, my panelists, to throw something out there if you want to talk about it. But one of the things, of course, I want to talk about is the Republicans, the rhinos. I know that you guys heard Lindsey Graham come out and say, he came out and he said that what Senator McConnell did is going to really hurt the Republicans in 2020. Here's my spin on it. I'm not completely in Lindsey Graham's corner. I think that Lindsey is doing what Lindsey has to do to stay alive. Mitch McConnell is a foregone conclusion. He needs to be primaried. We supported him in 2020. And what he did, okay, you can be angry, you can be mad, but the Democrats stick together. Democrats didn't do was to present evidence, to go out and get evidence to prove that the president did, in fact, incite a riot or cause an insurrection. It didn't look good, okay? What these people didn't look good, but if you're looking at the law, you just can't go out and say, okay, he did it. Whereas the spring and summer of 2020, Kamala Harris out on tape saying this is not going to stop now. It's not going to stop during the election, after the election. It's going to keep going. The rioting, the so-called protesting. Maxine Waters saying surround them, tell them you're not welcome. Cory Booker saying he wants to punch people. Joe Biden saying he wants to take the president behind the barn, behind the schoolyard and punch him. People saying they want to kill. You had Rick Wilson saying that the only thing that's going to stop Donald Trump is a bullet to the head. And of course, there have been threats on the president's life. I'm not saying one bad is better than the other, but let's just be fair and call it what it is. It is a double standard. And the way the media is portraying it now, still they're saying, oh, well, you had all of these Republicans that were afraid to go against Donald Trump. Oh, and this, and he's nothing but a racist, he's that, he's this. It has to stop. Who is going to be big enough to stand up and say, folks, we've got to stop this? Barack is not going to do it. I would think he would do it, but he's not going to do it. Yes, I'm fired up when I talk about this. Barack is not going to do it. He's not man enough to do it. But you would think that he would come out, or even George W. Bush, the person that the liberals love now. Why won't he come out? I do believe that if Senator Doyle, who I think is 99 years old right now, if he could, he would probably come out and say, we got to stop this. This has got to stop. What's happening is wrong. You might not like what the other side is saying, but to try and silence them and to lie and to cheat, cheating going all the way back to 2015 with the Russia collusion, we know now that it was a lie, and still no one has come out and say, you folks lied, stop it. So what do you think they're telling people, the people that didn't vote for Trump, that there was Russia collusion? You have Nancy Pelosi still saying it. You have Nancy Pelosi, who more than likely knew what was going to happen on January 6th, quiet as it's kept. You have no reporter who's curious enough to say, Madam Speaker of the House, what did you know and when did you know it? Mayor Bowser, you're responsible for DC. What did you know and when did you know it? No, it is not the job of the president to call the National Guard. You guys have to do it because this is federal territory. What did you guys know? Why didn't you act on it? And why are you giving the American people a bunch of lies? The media has to stop spinning the story because it's getting out of control. That is the reason why January 6th happened. That's it. What do you guys say?
Well, very briefly, if I could just jump in. Thanks, Rob. Great opening. Powerful. Very quickly, a couple of things. The media is complicit in all of this. They are absolutely, the media in the United States is worthless. I know it's our worthless because media is a plural word. They are worthless. I mean, I'm just being frank. Number two, the Democrats lied in the well of the Senate. They edited the tape of a videotape of President Trump's speech on January 6th. They lied. We will express our voices, I'm paraphrasing, but he specifically said peacefully and patriotically. That is literally in the transcript, and the Democrats edited that out. They also won the right to call witnesses. They did not. Why? Because it was based on, this whole thing was literally based on a lie, literally. He did not cause an insurrection at the Capitol. And how was it an insurrection anyway when no one was armed? quite frankly, though that's a side note. Number two, he did not lie about election fraud. We have witness after witness in all swing states who
Mhm.
said they witnessed election irregularities and fraud. Check out the Amistad Project, which had a UPS driver said he drove ballots from New York State to Pennsylvania, which is illegal. And no, he has not yet, as yet, been disputed. But the media doesn't ask any of these questions. They have no curiosity. Even if you hate Donald Trump, aren't you at least a bit curious why all 6 swing states stopped counting on November 3rd? The media is the problem, key part of the problem. Thank you.
Anyone else want to jump in?
Well said, BB. I completely agree.
Thank you.
Just real quickly, and then Heather can follow up. But I thought President Trump's legal team did a great job overall. They showed on live TV all the Democrats' hateful rhetoric towards President Trump and did a good job of explaining how this impeachment was another partisan sham by the Democrats. They've already tried Russia collusion. It was a fail. They tried the Ukrainian impeachment hoax. It was a fail. And now this one. I now find myself much more optimistic about 2022. We know who the bad Republicans are now, obviously the 7 that voted against President Trump. So, yeah, a lot to look forward to. In 2022, we know who we need to vote out, and I'm glad that they all made the right decision to not impeach President Trump. Sorry, Heather.
Yes, nice. I agree, Andrew. I think that the lawyers did a pretty good job, and I liked the what they showed of all the lineup of the Democrats inciting, although I don't think that they did as good a job as you did, Rob. I think you got a few more quotations in your lineup. One thing, I mean, I'm also very, very gratified and relieved with the result, although I didn't expect that, this crazy effort would be successful. I mean, look, we know that the reality is, as Bibi said so well last time, all you have to do is read that speech. There's nothing in the speech that's any kind of direct incitement to violence, President Trump's speech, or, indirect. We're not hearing what we've heard from Democrats all summer, right? Let's burn it down. Let's get in their faces. There was nothing like that in Trump's speech. So I knew there was nothing for them to actually convict him of any kind of incitement on. It just isn't the truth. And one thing that's very disturbing is McConnell said something about he wants Trump criminally prosecuted. And my question is, for what? When you strip away all the emotion, what did he do? He had a rally. And all summer long, we heard about everyone's right to protest. And if protests turned violent, well, we were told you can't blame the peaceful majority. You can't blame the organizers. How many times did we hear that even after things had descended into violence again and again and again? And now in this case, because 100 people did something wrong, we're now supposed to be told, no, this is somehow the reason that 100,000 people can't peacefully protest. So, it's a disturbing precedent and very threatening to speech in this country. And I hope we all plan to keep talking and writing about this because, conservatives have a right to protest also.
Right. And one of the key things that you just said is that we have to keep talking and writing about this. We cannot rely on the left to tell the story because we see already they're trying to change history. History is ugly. History isn't pretty. History is dirty, but it is history. Each one of us have a history. Each one of us might have done something in our history that we're not proud of, but that's part of history. You can't whitewash history. You can't go through history and erase people that you don't like, erase dissenting opinions because, it hurts my feelings. You can't do that. And what the Democrats are trying to do with the liberal media is to just clean up history. We want to remove George Washington. And that's where we are. That's where we are. If we can impeach President Trump and then have a trial and convict him once he has left office, By God, let's go after George Washington. Let's go after a lot of the other presidents. Let's go after Bill Clinton. Let's go after Hillary Clinton. It has to stop. And someone has to call the media out. And we are going to do it. I went to journalism school. Heather went to journalism school. And some of you have different backgrounds. But we know the truth when we hear it. We know how to go out and research. And what these journalists are doing now, members that have been in Clinton's White House, Obama's White House, they're out before us giving not the news, but their opinions. Shame on you. Shame on you, Anderson Cooper. Shame on you, Rachel Maddow. Shame on all of you. Shame on you, Chris Wallace. They should take away his journalism card. He is absurd. He's disgusting. I hate to say that I'm part of that profession. Ray, are you ready for us?
I am. I mean, after the acquittal just yesterday, right? It was just yesterday. I wrote a poem, as we can all expect. And I really just want to, just as a side note, I want to thank all of you, because I was really in a funk since November and really disgusted. And I was really tongue-tied. I just couldn't write because everything hurt. But yesterday felt very giddy, didn't it? It felt good to, even though he lost, he won. So anyway, I wrote a poem called The Impeachment Blues. The Dems are spitting bullets, empty shells upon the floor. Their nemesis has walked again. It's deja vu once more. Although they won the presidency, the Senate, and the House, every ounce of flesh is not enough. Make certain that a future run is out. So they spliced the film together, put their theory to the test. We watched a bevy of stormtroopers demonstrate insurrection at its best. While they ignored the riots in the summer, we witnessed cities go up in flames. They claimed that those were peaceful protests. Now they wonder why 10 guilty votes remained. They fell short inside the Senate, cursed the cowards one by one. They just can't nail him to the cross. Another drawing board's begun. Even when he loses, his supporters notch another win, while every last Trump hater feels the impeachment blues again.
Ooh, powerful.
So here we are, feeling a little bit of vindication. I mean, we knew that. When I looked at the 13-minute video, I really felt it was like a Hollywood film. I mean, it was so staged, every single step of the way. And, you guys are the journalists. I write, but I'm more from an emotional standpoint. But I appreciate the digging that you guys do to really get to the bottom. But the history, we've been basically canceled systematically for the last 5 years. They've been canceling us one by one. I even heard that Dianne Feinstein, because no one is immune. They're going to go after everyone. She had a school that was named after her that they want to rename. Dianne Feinstein is like the liberal, guru. So it's happening to them. It's happened to us. So I'll keep writing. You guys have been urging me on, and I really appreciate it.
Well, I want to play another video that I want our viewers to see. I thought was interesting how the Democrats were trying to go back to something that the president had said, or they said he had said earlier on in his presidency. Now, mind you, he's out of office, but he's still living rent-free in their heads, still living rent-free. And the fact that for the past 5 years, the media has been spinning lies about racism. He's a racist, he's a this, he's a that. I am so sick and tired of hearing about who's a racist, who isn't a racist. Racism exists. Okay, let's just accept it. It exists. But at the level that the media is portraying, without further ado, let me just go ahead and play this for you.
People in that group, excuse me, I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name. So no, George Washington was a slave owner. Was George Washington a slave owner? So will George Washington now lose his status? Are we going to take down, excuse me, are we going to take down statues to George Washington? How about Thomas Jefferson? What do you think of Thomas Jefferson? You like him? Okay, good. Are we going to take down the statue? Because he was a major slave owner. Now we're going to take down his statue. So you know what? It's fine. You're changing history. You're changing culture. And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly. Now, in the other group, you had some fine people, but you also had troublemakers, and you see them come with the black, with the helmets and the baseball bats. You got a lot of bad people in the other group.
I understand what you're saying. The press has treated white nationalists unfairly. I understand what you're saying.
There were people in that rally, and I'm sure, if you look, there were people protesting very quietly the taking down of the statue of Robert E. Lee. I'm sure in that group there was some bad ones. The following day, it looked like they had some rough, bad people, neo-Nazis, white nationalists, whatever you want to call them. But you had a lot of people in that group that were there to innocently protest, and very legally protest, because, you know, I don't know if you know, they had a permit. The other group didn't have a permit. So I only tell you this, there are two sides to a story. I thought what took place was a horrible moment for our country, a horrible moment. But there are two sides to the country. Does anybody have a final? Does anybody have, you have an interest?
There you have it. It's really shameful that the media likes to focus on these hot items to try and elicit feelings or emotions from certain groups of people. So if you say that he is a racist, they're playing to blacks, wanting blacks to think that. Okay, and then what? Every Republican president that we've had, they've told us that the person was a racist. Not only that, just to further their agenda, remember when Hillary Clinton was running in the primaries against Barack Obama? And they told us when the race got to South Carolina, they told us that Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton were racist. It is a race card that they play over and over again. Even during the impeachment hearings, they had a black congresswoman to get up to play to the base. They knew that they were losing. So what does she get up and do? She tries to plead to the, I guess, a sympathetic version of those rhinos that, hey, if you don't vote to convict, I'm going to call you a racist. Well, guess calling you a racist. No matter, you can't please people. So she's on the floor and she's going to say, oh, you know, I saw what the other side was presenting. They had black mothers out there as if though they were tearing down things. But when I saw those black mothers, they were saying, oh, our sons and our daughters are being killed. Well, this is what I would say to her, Madam Congresswoman. What about the black men? They've just completely almost erased the black men from the Democrat platform. And it's all about the black woman, which is what they have done systematically. If you want to talk about something that's systematically throughout history with Roosevelt and his great deal, and then with Johnson, erasing the black man. Now, let's be clear here. Both the black men and black women were enslaved. The black man, unfortunately, couldn't help the black woman, and the black woman couldn't help the black man. But the way liberals are portraying it is if though no one wants to help the black woman. We're always victimized. Well, by God, you were enslaved. What was the black man supposed to do? Again, as I've said before, common sense and logic. Slavery was horrible. Slavery was brutal. Racism exists. It is horrible. It is brutal. But to the extent to say that everyone is a racist and that we've got to get rid of this president, he's a racist and he did this, he did that, and I am black. Okay, I am not a white supremacist. I can't be a white supremacist. All of the president's supporters are white supremacists. So this whole narrative that they're putting out there is just that, a narrative that they're using to play to their base emotionally.
No, powerful, Rob. I think that's an excellent point. I think simply put, the media in this country cannot be trusted. I just don't know how else to say it. You went to journalism school. You know that there are basic elements of a journalist, the who, what, when, how, where. You and Heather understand that perfectly. The media in this country, from the New York Times to almost every outlet, they've ignored that. So I think one of the best ways we can fight back, because they will ignore us. They don't care what we think because they're pushing an agenda. It's not about the news and being impartial. The best thing we can do is turn them off. Now, I do watch Newsmax with Stinchfield and Greg Kelly at 7 and Stinchfield at 8, One America News, Gateway Pundit. But overall, I've turned them all off with few exceptions on Fox, like Mark Levin and Sean Hannity. But we have to shut them down so they can feel it in their ratings, because they have been pushing nothing but lies. Again, the media in this country is a big part of the problem. And Heather, your point earlier was excellent. I mean, what about all the rioting during the summer? The media excusing it, the Democrats excusing it, innocent people killed, murdered, buildings torn down, and particularly Black buildings, Black businesses that are suffering. All that was basically ignored by the Democrats and the media, which to me are now one and the same. Thank you.
And I'll never forget.
What was bad, BBC, that you said? I mean, look right now. Look at what's happening to Trump's attorney. They're threatening him. They're harassing him. And what is the media saying? Oh, that's okay. Or it doesn't matter. He represented Donald Trump, so it doesn't matter. Everyone that worked in Donald Trump's administration, fire them. They shouldn't work. They don't need a job. Are you serious? Can you imagine if conservatives had said that about Obama, the man who said you can keep your doctor, the man who gave us Solentra and it failed, the man who had 2 Black attorney generals, and you look at the Blacks that were killed, only to find out that all of them got off because the judge listened to the case, it went to court, and he said, no, they acted, maybe what they did, you didn't like it, but they were within the rights. Barack Obama, not 1 term, but 2 terms. Why didn't he come in and try to straighten things up? And I would dare say, had they said, let's impeach him, oh my God, they really would have burned down the Capitol. And all this, the Capitol. You folks wanted to burn down the Capitol during the spring and summer of 2020. You hated the Star Spangled Banner. You hated the American flag. And now, all at once, you want to sing Kumbaya? And people attacking this president. To call the media out every chance we get. We have to call them out because this is their fault. They're the ones that are able to get the information out there. And why people can't see that and they're okay with, silence the president, take him up with this and take him to that. I saw all on social media platforms, people saying, oh, it's a sad day. Republicans, they just let us down. They did this. They did what? They said, we're going to acquit because this is ridiculous. If they wanted to impeach him and find him guilty, why didn't they do it within the time frame before January 21st? Well, they didn't do it because they were busy trying to get people all riled up. So the Democrats let down their base with their lies. And now where's Adam Schiff going? Oh, he wants to run and try to be the attorney general in California. They need to call him up and impeach him. Eric Swalwell, why the heck was he on the floor? He was going around banging, thang. And you want to tell me that these people are righteous? These people are the equivalency of moral values? I dare say not. It's embarrassing. That's what other countries are laughing at. The duplicity of these individuals. It's embarrassing to have people that have so much hate in their heart. But hey, we should expect it. These were the people that gave us the Ku Klux Klan. These are the people that were constantly trying to hold blacks back. These are the people who only now decided, pivoting just a little bit, in the world of entertainment, oh, we'll have a black bachelor. And then they start feeding little nuggets to the press. He better not pick a white woman. Oh, how dare he? He can't pick a white woman. He's got to pick a black woman. And then when it seems as though he's going to pick a black woman, what is he doing? He's not picking you. That's not good. So let's attack the white woman. Let's say that she did something back in the South and it's horrible and it's this. And then the first bachelorette black woman, she's coming out saying, oh, I'm going to step aside from this organization because I don't see the diversity. Oh, really? Well, you were the first black bachelorette about 3 or 4 years ago. Why didn't you say that then? Why are you saying it now? Do you see an opportunity to further your career? So now you want to attack this whole bachelorette thing? To be honest with you, I don't watch it. I think it's ridiculous. Having a bunch of people go, I only want this one guy. Please give me a break.
Yeah.
But this is what we have come to. So now they want to make a big stink about, oh, well, she did something in 2018 and she might be a racist and she might be a this. Well, are you saying that because the black guy might pick her? And you want to keep up a big stink with black women? He didn't pick you. So no black women want to go out and protest? Well, let me just tell you this, black liberal women. Remember, you did it yourself. You're the ones to say, hey, I can do anything. I don't need a man. Because you're listening to liberals, these lefties that tell you you don't need a man. And then when you wake up and you see that you don't have a man, then you want to accuse the black man of not loving you. Don't get me started, because I'm just going to break it down. I mean, let's just be honest here. We need to have real talk. We got to stop allowing the media to manipulate these situations. You can love whoever you want to love. That's your business. But to try to introduce racism, it's okay for a black woman to like a white man. But if a black man likes a white woman, oh, God forbid, heaven and earth is going to pass away. What is this? What does it do with the double standard? It's the duplicity that the media, the people who are in charge of this, are putting out there. And we have to push back. Go ahead, guys.
Well, it's interesting. I am a Bachelor watcher. I can offer some thoughts. One thing I did notice is that I think this woman, Rachel, who's under the gun and, being admonished and canceled for her involvement with a antebellum sorority party or whatever. It did seem that the Bachelor, Matt, and this Rachel, I mean, she definitely seemed like one of the women he seemed really, really real into. I will say that as a watcher. And there are a few that who he really seems to like, but just based on my, observations of body language, she and he seemed real into each other. So I don't know how that, contributes to what has happened, but I think your theory is interesting, Rob.
Well, yeah, I mean, I looked, and I want all of you to jump in, especially you, BB, the two of us being the only blacks on the panel here. But I went back, when I heard it, someone called it to my attention, because like I said, I don't watch a lot of situational comedy. I don't watch these reality shows, because I see enough reality with the mainstream media. But I went and I'm like, what exactly happened? What did she do? What did they say? So I went and I watched the tape of the host, who has since resigned. He stepped down, rather, taking some time off, I guess, because Council Culture has gotten onto him and they've whacked him and said, you need to go and apologize because you have white privilege and you don't understand what we're talking about. So I'm like, okay, let me see this. Okay, now apparently back in 2018, she was in college and she attended a Southern college. She attended, how she's in a sorority, and they have these little things, these little parties, themed parties. And the theme party that she attended was Antebellum. Now, Antebellum, when I hear Antebellum, being from the South, Arkansas, I think of big houses, nice houses, houses that were on the plantations, and that's it. Okay, now apparently she attended this theme party, and they're saying that, okay, that's racism. Okay, everything is racism these days. And that I guess they were saying that she was signifying that, hey, white is right, and I'm up here, the blacks are there. I didn't see any pictures of black servants as you would normally see. It was just she was in her big dress, Gone with the Wind dress, she and her other sorority sisters, and I guess they were yucking it up talking. So someone produced a tape and said, hey, she participated. And then the guy who's the host of the show came out, and he wasn't, I guess they said he was trying to defend her, but he was saying, well, that happened in 2018. This is 2020. And things change, times change. What was right then might not be right now, and so on and so on. Now, I mean, it was 2018. Okay, if it was wrong then, they're going to say that it's wrong now. But I didn't see it that way. I thought, okay, she went to a party, the antebellum party. Okay, whoop-de-doo. If it was wrong, we all make mistakes. But I saw nothing wrong with it. I didn't see her going around with blackface. I just saw her in the dress, and that was it. But I guess because she was there, she was a sorority, she's guilty by association. And the fact that he came out trying to say, we need to take a step back, we need to look at this, because we're starting to cancel people, we're starting to attack people, and it's not right.
Yeah, he wasn't saying it's a good idea to have this kind of party. He was speaking out against cancel culture. He said we all need to have a little grace, a little compassion.
Yes, he said use of grace, and I agree with him. But now, I mean, look at the young lady from the show Mandolin. She came out and said, okay, they're trying to persecute Trump supporters just like they did in Nazi Germany. Okay, Disney went in and they fired her. Only to find out that her co-star has said something similar, but even derogatory.
Oh.
So I'm like when does it stop?
It's so idiotic, Rob, because that woman she was making a comparison between the brainwashing of Germans and what she sees as the brainwashing of today's left.
And she's right. I'm serious. I mean, when you think about it.
But that was what she was trying to say. She wasn't saying anything good about Nazis. I mean, frankly, the reaction is so stupid. I mean, it had nothing to do with anti-Semitism. She was speaking critically of Nazis, and she was making what some might view as maybe a far-fetched comparison. But the point she was trying to make was about brainwashing. It was in no way positive about Nazis or Germany at that time. So it's like either an idiotic or willful misunderstanding of what she was trying to say.
I would see the latter, a willful misunderstanding, because they being the left, control a lot of the press, big tech, they control what we see and trying to control what we think. They're trying to manipulate people into thinking that she's the bad person. Again, when my opening, I said they want everyone to think that people that support Trump, that we're bad and we're dangerous. Why? Because we dare to think differently?
They're scaring themselves. Yes, they're scaring.
They're scaring the masses, and it's scaring me because people are sitting by allowing this to happen. We can agree to disagree. You and I, Heather, when the riot took place, we had a different opinion about that. We had a different opinion about the election, but we can agree to disagree. It is.
I think we agreed about the riot.
Conversation is just what we should be able to have about the riot. Okay, but. That's why I am grateful that I have people like you on the panel, that we can have these types of discussions without us saying, okay, I'm going to counsel you out because what you're saying is wrong and you shouldn't say it. Okay. And as you pointed out, Heather, so eloquently on one of the shows, a couple of shows back, is that you might not like what the other person is saying, but they have a right to say it.
Yes.
And people don't understand. They don't understand the Constitution. It's like, you can't say that because I don't like it. No, I can say, no, I shouldn't say it, but I have the right to say it. Baby, I want you to weigh in.
Yeah. Number one, the left doesn't respect the Constitution. That's one of the root causes. Okay. They don't believe in personal liberty or freedom. They're more in the mindset of a Lenin or Stalin or an authoritarian government like the Chinese Communist Party. So they do not respect the Constitution. That's one of the root causes of the issue. Number two, the antebellum period in American history was right after slavery. Yes, the big houses, the big dresses remind you of Gone with the Wind. So she had every right to dress in the big dress or however she dressed to represent the antebellum period in the United States. If Black women are so insecure about a Black man who's attracted to a white woman, it's reflective of us. And we can do a whole program or at least half an hour on the bad attitudes of Black women. I'm sorry, I just have to say it as a Black woman, from Michelle Obama to the cashier at Walmart. Too many Black women have attitudes, right? We're so bitter and angry a lot. So to say that if a Black man chooses a white woman, it's racism. Here we go, knocking the Black man once again.
Yep.
And to your point, Rob, the Black man's place in the home as a member of the nuclear family was really put asunder, if you will, with like the War on Poverty, 1965, signed by LBJ. Because what the War on Poverty essentially did, and I remember this growing up in the 70s, is that if you took the man, the father, out of the home, you'll get more money. So I saw Black women having 5 children by 4 or 5 different men. This is no lie. And they'll have a son who's 18 and a daughter who's 2, so they can keep the welfare checks coming. Let's just keep it real, okay? So the media is trying to manipulate millions of us because, as to your point, they are controlled by and large by the corporates, and they are controlled by the left. And so they're able to dominate and manipulate, except for those of us who have decided we're shutting down the media. They cannot manipulate us. But yeah, we could do a whole program on this false flag of racism. It is not racism if a Black man is attracted to a white woman who is decent, loves life, who loves to laugh, who likes peace. That's not racist. That's smart. So that's it for now. Thank you.
You know, it's interesting because the other point, which is kind of a very basic one, I guess, is just that this young woman and the others, I mean, obviously they're all interested in him. I mean, and they really, I mean, if you guys watch the show, I mean, I don't know how deep it runs and all that, but I mean, the premise of the show is they want to find a life partner, you know, and this isn't just about, supposedly anyway, you know, fooling around. And, you know, I mean, I know this isn't a popular thing to say, but I mean, I've always felt that, you know, I mean, a person's personal life does say something about that. I mean, I don't really understand how someone who's a virulent racist or anti-Semite, you know what I mean, is going to want to marry a Black or Jewish person. You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't, to me, it's pretty absurd on its face. I mean, I know that whatever, that isn't thought of as a defense, and maybe it isn't in every case. Maybe there are some people who, you know, have crazy racist beliefs, but also, you know, feel attraction to people and act on it, or the same with anti-Semitism. But I don't know, to me, it just seems like in this day and age, when you're talking about pursuing real relationships with people, I mean, and being close with other people, I mean, to me, that was always one of the reasons, like, calling Donald Trump some kind of racist never made sense. You know, he has very close, intimate friendships with other, you know, people who are Black. I mean, I don't know. So my point is just with this whole Bachelor thing, I mean, it's all
contrived.
Why would she be crazy about him if she was a big racist? I mean, you can see the attraction seems very mutual. And I think that's pretty hard to fake if you're not a professional actor. So.
Yeah, I was really surprised and disappointed to see Gina Carano canceled from Mandalorian. I've been a fan of hers for at least 10 to 15 years. I used to watch her when she fought professionally. She was always a big star in fighting, one of the classiest women in all of sports. And now to see her canceled like this is very surprising. There's no consistency in cancel culture unless if you are conservative in Hollywood and then you get fired. Otherwise, you're fine, because we've seen how many celebrities compare President Trump to Hitler, which is a lot worse than what Gina Carano said, and that's always fine. So just the inconsistency is obviously there to see.
Yeah, very much consistency. And again, it's this whole theme of, you know, they're wrong, we're right, and we want to go through, we want to counsel anyone that says anything positive about the president. I mean, I look at people that are coming out of the White House. Usually these people are hired immediately. But you have big tech, you have the Lincoln Project that are saying, we're keeping a list and we're going to send this list out because we don't want these people to get jobs. Meanwhile, one of the founders of the Lincoln Project is grooming young men for sex, questioning young men for sex. And then these guys, Kellyanne Conway's husband comes on, oh, I don't know him. I knew nothing about him. Oh, really? But you guys wrote an article together. So how is it that you know nothing about him? And then you have one of the other head honchos saying, well, I'm going to step aside so that a woman can, that's the operative word, a woman could be in a key position. Well, why didn't you step aside 3 years ago? Why only now are you stepping aside? Because you've been caught with your hands in the cookie jar, so now you want to step aside? These are the same people that were going after Trump with false information. And they were prideful, they were gleeful. And now that the information is coming out, oh, I don't know this guy. Who is he? Well, what was his name again? No, you knew about him, and the media knew about him. I mean, they're saying that people knew about this guy 10 years ago, but they said absolutely nothing. Why? Because the media were using him. Well, we can use him right now, so let's not say anything. The media is extremely dangerous. Okay? I'm part of that world, and I hate it. That is a reason why I assembled this panel, myself and a small town Andrew, so that we can analyze these stories and bring to you the truth. Because CNN isn't going to do it. Don Lemon isn't going to do it. Chris Cuomo isn't going to do it. He's going to be busy trying to cover for his brother, Andrew Cuomo, who was hiding the number of deaths in the nursing homes. This guy got an Emmy. Okay? For what? For getting on TV and lying? For getting on TV, and when people were asking him questions, he was blunt, he was flat. And people, oh my God, he's so perfect. It's because people didn't see anything else. When the president was out trying to talk, oh, well, he's not presidential. Well, here's the thing. He's not a politician. Donald Trump isn't a politician. And I tell people this time after time, he's not a politician. And that is a reason why we voted for him, because we're sick and tired of these politicians like Barack Obama standing up and, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. But he didn't do it. Whereas Trump was out there in your face. And here's something else I want you all to think about. I never brought this up to the panel. But think about this. This whole thing with them saying, oh, well, Trump said to drink bleach. He said to drink bleach. I'm like, come on, folks. He didn't say drink bleach. He was having a moment. He said, well, I heard that bleach kills the germ, kills the virus. And, maybe, Dr. Berg, maybe we can, look at that, and see what's going on. He didn't say go outside and drink the bleach. But this is a point I want to make.
Yeah.
Since people are freaking out, he said it. Okay, let's think back some years ago when people had cancer. And I'm sure someone said, well, maybe radiation will kill it. Oh my God, radiation. You can't put radiation in your body. You can't put that kind of chemo in your body. What are we doing now? People are having radiation treatment, chemo. I'm sure then they thought about it and said, no way, you're crazy. But look at it now. And I say that to say, when we're talking about bleach, not in that it's a basic term, but perhaps in a derivative that they can get it. And then anything immediately, but I'm someone now who's doing research. So I'm like, again, people, oh, he said to drink bleach. But if you step back and say, okay, the media is lying, because right now we're putting radiation in our bodies to kill cancer. We're doing a lot of other things. And remember what the president did when he came into office. He signed the right to try bill so that if something were to come up and if you had a disease and if your doctor were to say, well, there have been some studies on XYZ, we've never done it. It's never been tested. But you know what? You have the right to try it because you want to live. There you go. So this whole thing with bleach, and people think, oh, he's crazy. Now who's the fool? If you're doing radiation because you have cancer or some other sickness, who is the fool now? Again, think. The media has twisted everything up. As Bibi said once, that up is down and down is up. You have to stop and think. What are they telling us? He's not a politician, but this guy he's making sense if we were to stop and listen.
Yeah, they
Follow
spin
the
everything.
science.
They just spin it, Rob. I mean, he misspoke, whatever, and they hyped it and turned it into. Look, they just they have sold this country a bill of goods. They really did. I mean, I'm so glad you played that tape of the Charlottesville presser, because that was where it really. I felt that was where it became really downright Orwellian. I mean, he stood there and said so clearly, repeatedly, I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis, white supremacists, white nationalists, the KKK, who should be condemned totally. Those were his words, and I'm so glad you played that, because I feel like it can't be played over and over again, because they simply just they just lied. I mean, it was so obvious, and he made it obvious. He spoke clearly. He said there were two groups, and he didn't want to be forced to condemn everyone who was there, because he believed that the second group or the first group, whatever. I mean, it's a simple concept. It's like, a kindergartner can understand. You have a large group, and within that group, you have two groups, and one group are the bad people. The other group contains some good people, but it was like I could never get over. Did they not hear him clearly? Do they not understand that? But I think it was spin, and it was repeated again and again in Orwellian fashion. It was aggressive, false propaganda, and it stuck. And a lot of people now, you can't even have the conversation. They won't watch the tape. So good for you for playing that again. And, I think that coming out of all this, one of the takeaways is just we have to remember we're not crazy. I mean, at times I feel a little like, until I talk with you guys, I think, should I distrust my own perceptions? I think, am I a little nutty? I mean, I even had a conversation with a friend this weekend who is generally sympathetic, and, whatever, he and I don't agree about everything, but he said that he felt Trump was in the wrong to have this rally when he did, that it was irresponsible. And others who I know and respect believe that. But then, I respect their view, and maybe I'm wrong, but to me, it just seems like, well, what does that mean then? I don't believe he incited anything. I don't think he expected that or deliberately stirred it up. I don't think there's any evidence that he did. So what did he do wrong? What was his crime? Holding a rally? That means what? That no conservative should hold a rally in a tempestuous time ever again? I mean, if he committed a crime, if he did something wrong, really legally, what was it? What? I mean, What are we to take from that? And, that's what we have to keep reminding ourselves. We have to think about this logically. Do we not take any bold action in life because there's a theoretical slim chance somebody could misinterpret what we do? I mean, we could live that way, but we don't demand that of anyone else other than conservatives, evidently, in this country. So I think it's important to retain our logic and to shore up our basic powers of perception, because we are kind of living in a matrix, I feel.
Yep. Ray, are you ready for us?
Wow, that was a lot. And it's, I think everything, it's like from the top down. Biden could have made a lot of progress with this concept of unity if he had said something like, look, okay, Trump was acquitted. And this is how our system works. So the Constitution worked. Now, there's a lot of hard feelings, but we have to move away from this condemning acquittals. This is what our whole law is about. You may not like it, but he didn't get 67 people saying go. And Biden, rather than do that, what he did, he said, well, the evidence speaks for itself. Or something like that, right? Yeah. There was no reconciliation. There was no unity.
He doesn't want it.
Well, it's a facade.
Yep.
Okay, we're afraid to even talk about what's happened. We're condemned. We can't even talk about the election. You know, it was really a two-pronged thing. It was the rally causing an insurrection, but it was also the month of saying that the election was stolen, that they said incited people. But we've discussed it on this show that there really hasn't been a legitimate investigation as to exactly what happened on November 3rd. I mean, I go to the videotape and also the log, the hacking logs that were discovered. And to me, that was fact.
Mm-hmm.
And there was shenanigans. And, there wasn't the swing states. It was pretty close. And any of these conditions could have changed the outcome. But we've never looked at it. Anyway, let me get to the poem. It's called The Hope of Unity. The concept of unity is a considerable goal. Despite political difference, it lets common purpose take hold. Each side's committed to exchanging ideas, expressing without repressing, understanding each other's fears. It may be idyllic, like a fantasy dreamt. When both sides start winning, that's how teamwork is meant. But unfortunately, the opposite has afflicted our land. It's become good versus evil. There's no desire to understand. Unity requires forgiving the past. But when you continue to punish, peace can't ever last. When you shut down the voices, thereby obscuring the light, keep making groupthink decisions, believing only retribution is right, it keeps us divided, makes it us versus them. There's no chance of unity. We've become mortal enemies, not friends. If we really want unity, all the rhetoric must cease. It's time we lay down our weapons, start building trust and some peace. It's a little long, but
Captures where we are, and we need the unity. And you had mentioned earlier on, you were talking about Biden and what Biden had said. This is the same man, when he was asked about the impeachment earlier on, he said, I don't have time for that. I'm trying to get my agenda across. Well, if that's true, how did you come out and say, well, we know what the evidence showed. We know he was guilty. Oh, really? I thought you weren't watching. See, what Biden was hoping was that they would find him guilty and they would keep this witch hunt going on so that he could continue to put forth his horrible plan to destroy America, letting illegal aliens come in, wanting to give them citizenship, wanting to give them health care, wanting to give them free money, wanting them to vote in the election. That's what Biden wanted to continue to do. Close down the Keystone Pipeline, 11,000 on the unemployment line. John Kerry saying that, hey, they can go work for a solar plant. Well, John Kerry, where's a solar plant? If you want to have that, wouldn't you at least say, let's build the solar plants and then let's stop the Keystone? But no, let's just stop it immediately. Let's join the Paris Peace.
Climate accord.
Crazy whack things that they're doing as is kept. The climate quiet as is kept while Biden's crazy agenda is pushed forward. We have to push back. Now, speaking of Biden, what are your thoughts about his press, the guy that works in his communication department, Ducklow? Biden came out not too long ago and said, if there's anyone on my staff who's mistreating anyone, I'm not going to have it. Now, mind you, I've got to say this, back in the early 80s, Biden allegedly sexually harassed or attacked one of his staffers. Now, to this day, he says he doesn't remember. And maybe he doesn't remember because Biden doesn't remember a lot of things because he's senile. Okay, and unless people remind him, well, Biden, yeah, you did do it. She looks different. It's like years ago, but you did do it. Okay, he did do that. And according to the Democrats, women are supposed to be believed. Maybe Haruno. According to his VP now, Kamala Harris, she believed Tara Reid when Tara said that Joe Biden sexually assaulted her. She believed it. But she's now his VP because she wanted to be the first woman of color, the first whatever, because, Democrats are all into these identity politics. First this, first that, first person who took a poop in the White House, first person who did that, first. But now, when it came to his communications guy, Ducklow, who apparently was having a relationship with the journalist who was covering Biden. So of course she's going to be nice. Of course they're going to say, hey, talk about this and talk about that. So once it was exposed by another journalist, he threatened the person. Now, I've been trying to find out what exactly he said to her. They haven't reported on it. They just said that he said some things that weren't flattering. He said some misogynistic things. As of yesterday, they decided first they were going to suspend him without pay for a week. According to Jen Psaki, Miss, I'll circle back with you. I call her the circle back girl. I'll circle back with you. So according to her, as of Friday, they suspended him without pay for a week. Well, I guess the heat was on. And they said, oh, Joe, that's not going to work because remember what you said. And you just said this. So they have now fired him. Now, they fired him, but what you want to bet that within a month's time or by the summer or even the spring, either CNN, MSNBC, CNBC, ABC, Washington Post, New York Times, they're going to hire this guy, and he will become a subject matter expert, telling us what is and the ifs and what Trump didn't do and what Trump should do. A guy that they fired. He'll now be elevated. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I think that the left has shown us, in many instances, they'll be vindictive, they'll be cruel, they'll be vicious, they'll be dishonest, but they won't be politically incorrect. And I guess this guy happened to say some things to a woman, and he ran afoul of political correctness. So, I guess he has to go. But, we all know that this idea that no meanness will be tolerated is pretty much a joke. I mean, one of the things about the whole political correct obsession is that it really, I guess it's theoretically about treating people better, but we know that it's really, this set of certain rules, and you can be vicious and mean in enforcing them. You can be dishonest in enforcing them. You can have no compassion or grace or sense of balance. You can commit all these things, but you just can't be politically incorrect. So that's what it seems like. Maybe he, because this happened to be a woman, and I don't know exactly what he said, but I think you're probably right, Rob, because I don't think most of this is really about humanity or treating each other better. I think it's about these rules and power and sanctimony. And so I don't think anybody in the end really cares that much, what this guy, we probably care more than they do. So, who knows what'll happen, but, it just sounds more like, more posturing.
Yeah. This Ducklow got caught red-handed having an affair, and the journalist who busted him, he threatened that he would destroy her and her reputation. Just a clear example of Biden lying in his inauguration speech. And what he said was obviously just for the optics, because the Biden administration thought saying that you're going to destroy the career of someone in the press is only worthy of a 1-week suspension. Fortunately, this guy felt the shame from everyone and resigned on his own, but embarrassing situation for Joe Biden's administration.
Yeah, it shows that they're double standard.
Absolutely. And where is the Republican statesman who's pushing back or fighting back? I agree with you. I think Bob Dole, an establishment Republican, but I think Bob Dole, who served this country honorably, would have pushed back. He's in his 90s, I think, at this point, when you mentioned him earlier. But it's amazing how the Republicans, what's striking, not only the Ducklow situation, what he reportedly said to the reporter, he should have been fired immediately, not just suspended. But I like to see where the Republicans are, unless I'm missing it. Where are the Republican statesmen and stateswomen standing up and pushing back and fighting back against this Biden administration? with the illegals, I mean, it's just mind blowing to me. And maybe someone can weigh in. Maybe I've missed something, but I just don't see it. But Senator Graham did bring up an excellent point. Based on the Democrats' premise for this whole impeachment farce, Kamala Harris could be impeached because she bailed out rioters. She supported rioters, people burning down businesses, killing innocent people. I could be wrong, but I think about 90 people were killed over the summer. Someone please correct me, including retired police officer David Dorn. And these rioters were being bailed out, and it was an organized riot. It was not organic based on the death of George Floyd. George Floyd was just a trigger, a flag. Okay, now we can use this as an excuse to riot. That's all it was. It was all pre-planned. So, I mean, yeah, thank you.
No, I agree with you 100%. And when you say where are the Republicans, I've been saying that for quite some time. Why have they back on the Democrats' agenda? Why are they just accepting it? Okay, maybe they are outnumbered, but show us that you're fighting. Well, we know that Ben Sass, Mitt Romney, Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, and now this Cassidy guy, and Adam Zing, whatever he calls himself. We know that they're just sitting there. They're sitting there looking for an opening so that they can just further their cause. I mean, they don't care. If they understood the Constitution, if they even read the Constitution, they would have immediately said, we don't like the fact that the president gave this speech on January 6th. Even the founder of the Tea Party, Michael Johns, was on our show last Thursday, and he said, I didn't like it, but he didn't say anything. I didn't like the fact that he gave the speech, but he didn't say anything that he shouldn't have said.
Right.
He said there was nothing bad about it. So he said, and because he has the right. He said, but it was such a heated situation. And I just want to break down something here for you guys. And I'm going to answer BB's question as far as where is the Republicans. He said it was a heated situation. Have you guys noticed that to this day, the media continues to say that the election wasn't stolen and there was no fraud? You even have Republicans saying the same thing. And yes, we're circling back to this because this is at the heart of everything. Okay.
Right.
They're saying it. Now, we've had this discussion before. And Heather, you said that, you could see how a lot of people decided to vote for Biden and not Trump. You said that it's not, and this is what I would say. Okay, perhaps, dead people, illegal aliens voted for him. But when you look at the heart of the matter, and when you look at judges coming in, changing the election laws that they should not have changed, it is up to the legislature, allowing some ballots to come in that shouldn't have come in. And then they made the determination. And now, knowing what we know now from the Time magazine article, you have liberals who are gloating at the fact that they did suppress information, not suppress votes, but suppress information from getting out there to the public domain. The tapes that I have shown, the videos, a lot of people, believe it or not, have never seen them, have never heard of them, because they're not watching the news the way they should. They're listening to Anderson Cooper, Chris Cuomo, who bragged about his brother being he's single and ready to mingle while he was killing people in nursing homes. They're listening to Don Lemon, who's spinning God knows what, who's trying to tell people that he now is in the cannabis business. They listen to Rachel Maddow, who should retire. He's antithesis of his dad just about. They listen to all of these knuckleheads who are spinning lies, Chuck Scarborough, Mark Thiessen, people that don't like Trump, never did. They're listening to them spin lie after lie, as opposed to saying, wait a minute, we're telling you that there is nothing nefarious with the election, but we never really searched, as a journalist should. We never questioned or sought out any of the individuals that said that they saw things that were taking place that shouldn't happen. People that were in different states, we never reached out to them because we didn't want to, because we were afraid of what they might say. So we just said it was a lie.
Right.
Although before the election, we did say, oh, Joe Biden shouldn't give up. He should keep going. Hillary Clinton said he should keep going. Don't give up for as long as it takes. We did say that the election is not going to be called that the night of. But what we didn't tell you is that we had a cabal in the background with big tech, corporations, the CEOs of corporations, who were kind of weary at first, but then they got on track. Big tech, politicians, corporations, different states, and we got them all to collude with us. You have it in a Time magazine article. For Pete's sake, do your job, investigate. But no, we're not going to do that. We're just going to brag about it now. Because although we're going to tell you about it, no one's going to really pay attention because we achieved what we wanted to achieve. We got Trump out, but by God, we weren't able to convict him. So now the son of a gun might run again. Oh no, they won't tell you that. So when people say, oh, nothing happened, it was on the up and up, I say, okay, fine. I've tried to show you the information. I've tried to tell you that judges can't make decisions regarding pertaining to elections, but you chose not to listen to that. You go from state to state, but all you guys want to say is that, oh, by the way, Donald Trump, he lost all 60 cases that he presented to the courts. It was on a technicality. And of course, courts don't want to decide elections. That is the reason why the Supreme Court said we don't want to hear it. But lo and behold, Justice Alito and Justice Thomas said, maybe we should entertain it. Maybe we should listen. Maybe we should look. So those justices, those court cases that you guys are saying that they lost, you have to understand what happened. But the media won't tell you that. They just want you to say, oh, the courts ruled on this. But as a real journalist, they would tell you exactly what the court ruled on, and they would explain it to you. But they won't do that. They will always spin their narrative that he lost, and I should move on. You should shut up. You're white supremacists, and you're evil, and you're bad, and we don't want to hire you because you're bad people.
Yeah.
That's what the media is telling you. Now, to get to BB's question, what are Republicans doing? Well, I'll tell you what they're doing. They're doing absolutely nothing. They're sitting at the head of their own dinner table, and they're behaving like the waiter. It is time to wake up. And the reason I say that, one more thing, Heather, the reason I say that is because you have people that believe in the party. They believe in the tenets of the party, okay? Mm-hmm. And when you have 75 million people and you want to tell them that you don't matter, vote for us, give us money. I'm not giving any of you sons of guns money. I will give directly to the person who's running. I'm not giving to the RNC because I don't know what you're doing with the money. You might be sending it to Ben Sass or to Mitt Romney or to Lisa Murkowski or to Liz Cheney, who's a globalist. They should have been on her like fire on rice or whatever they say and said, you've got to step down. What you did was wrong. You didn't even hear the case and you voted to impeach. This shows you that you saw an opportunity and you smelled blood and you wanted to take the president out. How can you bring a charge to anyone without having evidence? Now, let me get a little deeper with you. Of all people, Black people should know what it is like. The things that have happened to us in the court system, we were found guilty without any semblance of evidence. Mm-hmm. We should know what it's like. We should say, no, we might not like him, but he's entitled to a fair trial. Where is the evidence? We hear what you're saying, but prove it. Show it to us. Mm-hmm. But we set back those Black politicians that had hate in their hearts, the hate that they give. The Black politicians that were afraid that if we won't do this, we won't be able to control the church because that's how we control the church and go to build these huge churches. Shame on you. So what were the Republicans doing? Sitting back doing absolutely nothing but waiting and planning, thinking this is a moment to strike and we can get rid of Trump and we can go back to business as usual, getting money from big donors. The liberal Democrats will love us and we can go on. Mitt Romney, they don't love you. They still think that you're a racist. Remember what happened to you when you were running for the president? Ben Sass, they don't like you. Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, Richard Burr, they don't like any of you people. But you want to appease them. For what? To give away the party? This is Trump's party. And as Michael John said, we don't need a third party. We need to take back our party, give it back to the people. because it is we, the people, not we, the media, not we, the swamp. Go ahead, Heather.
Well, just that I think there was a reluctance to hear all the evidence and open this all up, Rob. And, I guess one thing we did disagree on a few weeks ago is I personally don't have trouble believing Biden may very well have won in terms of the popular vote, particularly. But what I share with you is dismay about this whole idea that this cannot be spoken of, this cannot be written about, questions cannot be asked. I mean, certain things that I saw, like that tape of stuff in Georgia with people lifting what looked like suitcases. Maybe it wasn't technically suitcases. We know from the CNN fact check that that's wrong because it wasn't suitcases.
Don Lemon fact checking, yeah.
The substance of what appeared to be going on looked very fishy. Stuff like that I saw with my own eyes. I mean, that doesn't mean that I believe ardently that Trump really won the whole election and it was all a, coordinated and orchestrated, massive coordinated fraud necessarily. But I'm just saying I saw some stuff that looked fishy. And for me as a journalist, it's very disquieting when people such as yourself can't have conversations about this. If, what makes them so scared? And that actually makes me question things more than I frankly would. I mean, I don't really have a hard time believing Biden might have won because I see how, wildly this propaganda was pushed. I think that a lot of people were sold a bill of goods, and there are a lot of people who are very hard left in this country. All the cities, I think the Democrats did everything in their power to mobilize and push these people to vote, which, fair enough. That part is legitimate. You're allowed to give people a ride to the polls or encourage them to vote. I think that there was a massive, massive effort to get every leftist voter under the sun. And so, for all those reasons, I can believe Biden probably won, but I do think it's weird that no one's allowed to ask questions or look at something suspicious or say, I think this election was stolen. Why? This is a free country. You're allowed to say you think something. I mean, so this whole effort to throw people off of social media for asking questions only makes me a little more suspicious, one. And it also is the principle, that we're living in this time when now the party in power gets to dictate who asks questions, what is and is not acceptable speech. And one thing I also wanted to mention is I thought one of Trump's attorneys, Van der Veen, I think was his name, did a very fine job. And one thing he said I really appreciated was he said, just because this is an impeachment proceeding, no, you do not get to discard the First Amendment.
Yes.
And I just appreciated his saying that. Because I think that these people are lawyers. These senators should have known better.
Yep.
It's very scary when the government has that much power, when one party has power to start to criminalize language.
Right.
Really, we know this is about power, and this is exactly the heart of why we have a First Amendment, because history is replete with examples of powerful governments, autocrats, dictators, whoever's in power, suddenly they get to determine truth. And the founders understood this. So, this was a case more than any, it was the heart of why we have a First Amendment, because we do not want a governing elite to control speech, because when you can control speech, you control thought, and there goes freedom.
There you go.
That's a
I'd
great
just like to mention on the subject of states' rights. I listened to Ron DeSantis, and I don't want to leave tonight's show without just talking a little about what Ron DeSantis said today, because the Biden is talking about restricting travel to Florida. Okay, where does now? It's been fact that Florida has done very well. Vis-a-vis the pandemic, even though it's been open, and I've been going to restaurants. I've been living a pretty open life here in Florida. I got to tell you guys, it's been pretty good. It's busy. This thing's going on, but the statistics they've been lying about, saying that Florida is this, Florida is that, but the issue is Biden is willing to let illegals come across the border without being tested, and yet he wants to restrict travel from state to state in this country.
Crazy.
Right, Heather? It's loony.
Yep.
You
Well,
know, but somebody's got to call him out on this. Now, DeSantis, I kind of like the ticket, Trump DeSantis in 24. I like the sound of that.
I like it too. Yeah.
This guy is also taking aim at Section 230. That
yes.
he's saying that the big tech has been colluding with the information, and it's coloring the elections. And where he's attacking them is on consumer fraud. Think about that. That we're being defrauded by big tech. So, you know, he's very vocal, and it's going to be interesting how things shake out. But I just want to throw a little light on Florida, and, you know, that we're a beacon right now. And and we shouldn't be, you know, told that we can't travel again by states' rights. The government is not supposed to control our lives,
right?
Especially on weak data and terrible science.
Right.
That's all I want to say.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's another one of the topics I want to mention. You look at Governor DeSantis, a big state, and you have New York and California. They seem to be envious of DeSantis. They attack throughout the pandemic, saying he's a nut, he's doing this, he's doing that, but he stood his ground. And you look at Florida now, it's flourishing. And now they want to destroy tourism. They want to keep people from coming there. They want to force him to shut down. And like you said, he's standing his ground. He's going after big tech for consumer fraud. I think it is brilliant. And we have to have minds like that, people who think outside the box, because we all know that the Republicans seem to just be sitting there and letting big tech to do whatever the heck they want. Why isn't Parler up and running? Why hasn't anyone, the Justice Department, gone in and challenged Twitter and Facebook and say, wait a minute, you can't silence free speech. You can't kick them off simply because you don't like what they're saying, when you yourself, you're allowing everything under the sun to take place on your platform that you claim to be against. You have pornography. You have kids that are being mistreated on there. You have people fighting. You have all types of vulgar language. You have Antifa and Black Lives Matter. They have been planning and plotting these mobs all across the world. And now you want to silence free speech? The Justice Department should be standing up and saying, no way. Well, we know Barr wasn't going to do it, because as I pointed out to you a couple of shows ago, that Barr was probably in on this whole cabal. And now that Biden is the president, his flaky isn't going to do anything about it. So it is up to us. It is up to people like Ron DeSantis, who are thinking outside the box, to say, we're going to push this. We are not going to stop. We will not stop. We will go forward. BB, you're about to say something. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I applaud Governor Ron DeSantis, because, you know, he is standing up for states' rights. And the thought occurred to me, the Constitution was made for a moment or for a time like this. Our forefathers saw this time coming, because the need for man, for humans to control, to suppress, that's almost a natural instinct. So you need a document to say, no, our rights come from God, not from government. So therefore, government cannot take them away. Yes, I believe it's I forget which amendment, which gives the states their rights, as long as the states follow the Constitution and they don't do anything below, or at least they meet the minimum standards of the Constitution. The states have rights. So I'm so thankful for our forefathers for seeing this, even though it was over 200 plus years ago. God gave them a vision to see that we needed a constitution for a moment like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that what DeSantis is doing is spot on. We need more people like that. And I saw where at Small Town was talking about Governor Nome in South Dakota. I mean, she's another one who has been standing strong against this fight. I just find it interesting how, when this pandemic hit, and we were all afraid because we didn't know what was going to happen. And Trump came out and said, well, it's just like the flu. Well, I'll tell you now, almost a year later, I believe that. It's a very,
He's right.
it's a very virulent, dangerous flu, but it is like the flu, and it's not going anywhere. So you can take the Trump shot, which many people said they weren't going to do. I'm not going to take that vaccine. I'm not going to this. I'm not going to that. And now you have people lying and cheating to take it after scaring the heebie-jeebies out of people. Don't take it. Don't take it. Governor Cuomo came out and said, black people, no, don't do it because I don't blame you because they're going to try to kill you. And now he's opening up these huge complexes in New York, in the Bronx. Black people don't want to go. Why? Because of Cuomo. Cuomo told them not to. He said, don't be afraid. I'm sorry?
Kamala Harris.
Yes, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. Yes.
I noticed she did she got it on camera. She certainly reversed that irresponsible.
They really should have allowed Trump to give them the shot because it is a Trump vaccine. But you notice they won't say the Trump vaccine. Had it been Obama, like Obamacare, they would say the Obama vaccine. But we can't because we have to erase Trump. We want to erase everything. We want to strike him from the record as if though he never existed.
One thing I wanted to mention, Rob, is Trump hate in terms of Cuomo. It occurred to me today that, Trump hate could be the cause of a lot of those nursing homes deaths because maybe Cuomo just so badly did not want to utilize those federal resources, the SHIP and the Javits Center also. People forget about that.
Right. He had a lot of his disposal that he didn't use. And why isn't the media holding him accountable? I remember back in those days when he kept saying, oh, it's going to get bad. He and Dr. Fauci, oh, there are going to be millions of people. Oh, we're going to run out of space. We're going to run out of space. And I kept waiting and watching.
Well, we did. We did. People were dying in hallways. I've interviewed numerous COVID survivors who had no beds in New York hospitals.
So why didn't Cuomo utilize the Javits Center?
Beats me.
Why didn't he utilize?
Asking these questions, we should be. I can't imagine why. there was a lot of federal money spent to bring enormous resources to New York.
Right.
At his request. And then as far as I can tell, it just simply went grossly, drastically underused. I'd like to know. Most important, of course, is the loss of human life. But how much money did all that cost the taxpayers? Is anybody asking? And it went unused. It was unbelievable. So it seems.
And really sad that happened. And for him to get all these accolades and saying, oh, he was this and he was that. But I just want to throw out one more thing because we're getting ready to start wrapping things up. Someone put in the chat room that, that we've won the battle. The war still being fought, I think. But here's the sad thing about it. Right, Trump was acquitted, and rightfully so. Should have never been impeached. It was unconstitutional. If you are a student of the Constitution, you would know it. And to have all of these legal scholars writing these letters threatening Trump's team, saying that if you present this argument, we're going to do this and we're going to do that, that is extremely dangerous. And I would say to anyone who's out there looking, you can hate Trump or you can like him. But to the folks that hate him, just imagine if this were to happen to you. You needed representation because it could happen. You look at how they're trying to counsel everyone. I was looking the other day, they're getting ready to attack David Letterman for an interview he did with Lindsay Lohan back in 2005. They're attacking him for an interview and he was making light of her going into rehab. I'm like, are you serious? Why didn't you guys say something about it then? I saw the interview and I thought, oh, this is a bit uncomfortable. Going after him now? Theism. Well, we have got to stop.
We didn't cancel people then. It was different.
But it's crazy. But the point I want to make is that, and Ray, you're right. The point I want to get to is that, so this is over. Trump is victorious and whatnot. But folks, unfortunately, it's not going to stop. Because you have the New York Attorney General, Letitia James, who's, well, I'm going to go after him. Then you're going to have everybody else going after him. And again, we don't have a statesman. Forget about Barack Obama because he's not going to do it. He's too self-absorbed to do anything. We don't have a statesman to come out and say, stop. stop. No one is perfect. We've got to stop in order to move forward. Because if we don't, China is going to take over. If we don't, Iran will try to attack us. If we don't, North Korea will do XYZ. We must stop. We will eat ourselves up from the inside. Why? Because Trump was the president. You guys lost and you hate it because he has done more than any president. He's not a politician. He's just a regular Joe Blow, so to speak. He's not polished like a politician, but by God, he loved America. This has to stop. But who do we have out there that will step up and say, stop? Because all of the people that are seniored, like Mitch McConnell, who's compromised, all of the people who would do it won't do it because of the hate they have in their heart, not just for Trump, but if you see the country is going down the hill, you hate the country as well. I think you're about to say something, BB.
Yes, absolutely. It's just stunning to me that 7 Republicans voted to convict President Trump, former President Trump, based on lies. That's stunning to me.
Yeah.
But my second thought is, it's bigger, Rob. I see it as a bigger problem. Like last week, we spoke about how this country was founded on Judeo-Christian ethics. That is indisputable, okay? What the left is trying to do is replace the Judeo-Christian ethics. I think that's part of what's going on, and the media is complicit in this. So the media, it's dominating the thoughts. I mean, not just the media, not just the mainstream media. This has infiltrated Major League Sports, where they have Black Lives Matter on the baseball field. I know within the Black community, we get it even from our pastors, celebrities. So we're surrounded by this drive, if you will, to replace Judeo-Christian ethics, you know, with the Black Lives Matter, which is racist. That's a racist statement because all lives matter.
Right.
So we've got to find a way. I think I put in the comment, let me just say this very quickly. We lost the battle. They stole the election. But I think we're going to win the war because the media lost millions of people they will never get back again. We will never trust Dominion voting systems. We know that our electoral process is flawed. So we're going to win the war because we're going to get this straightened out in the end. But the media is a problem. And I think we need to have a larger discussion on how we can break through, even with conservative media, like with Gab and Clout Hub. How can we break through? Thank you so much for having me on tonight. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I think what's got a scare of Mitch McConnell and the 7 Republicans that voted to impeach President Trump is that people are used to a new America First conservative agenda and not a continuation of the stagnant old approaches that we had in the past. I'm not confident that McConnell is capable of moving on from the past, and I think
absolutely not.
He's going to be removed from the minority leader. Hopefully in 2022 when we regain the Senate and get a new majority leader that's not Mitch McConnell.
Absolutely not. I don't even trust Kevin McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy could not take out Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney, in my opinion, is a lightweight. He should have been able to talk to all the members and get rid of her. Gates was powerful. He went to Wyoming saying, hey, we need to get rid of her. They laughed at him. But he's a strong patriot. Liz McConnell has no place in this party. She is a globalist, okay? Adam Zingzanger, whatever he calls himself, globalist, out for his own best interest. Mitt Romney, the same thing. Susan Collins, dead weight. Lisa Murkowski, dead weight. I'm sure the people in their states probably like them, okay? But when you're constantly siding on the wrong side, you're constantly siding with the Democrats, anything that this president said, you're going against it. There's something wrong with you. You're in the wrong party. And if you think you're in the right party, then step down from your leadership position or step down from your position as being a congresswoman and allow someone else to step there, because I assure you that there are others that could do a better job. Okay? Mitch McConnell, shameful. We supported you. We fought hard for you. And what are you doing now? As I said, Lindsey Graham, I'm on the fence. Rand Paul, the guy's a patriot. But a lot of these other wackadoodles, they got to go. Did we at any time accuse the Democrats when Stephen Scalise almost lost his life? To this point, the media will not bring up that it was the rhetoric coming from the left and the Bernie bros that started this. A U.S. representative was shot. He almost died. His life was irretrievably changed. He's walking on a walker now.
But
has anyone said anything about it?
But, not to contradict you, Rob, because I don't know, but I mean, I don't know that Sanders ever called for violence. I don't think.
No, Sanders didn't call for violence, but the person that supported Sanders, that's what I'm saying. The Bernie Bros, he was a member of the Bernie Bros. He supported Bernie Sanders. No, Sanders did not. To be clear, Sanders didn't. But the fact that he was coming out of that party and the rhetoric that was coming from them, and no one has denounced them, no one has said anything. That's the point that I'm making.
Oh, I hear you, Rob, but and the same could be said about so much. I know I talk a lot about this. I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but I think it's important to remember, like BB said, the lives lost. And I what did you say, BB? How many people died in the riots over the spring and summer?
Approximately 90 people, as far as from what I can understand.
And one was a little girl in Atlanta, a child, and we're told that I heard somebody say Antifa or BLM or somebody's nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize or something.
Oh yeah, we can't forget about that they were considering nominating Black Lives Matter. Now, which I find interesting. You're going to nominate a group that our FBI is saying, well, it's just an idea. They don't exist. They don't have the main headquarters. And they do that so that no one can attack them. I'm like, are you serious? So that no one can call them out and say, hey, we need to arrest this person. So it's like, it's a loosey-goosey type kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But a Nobel in my opinion, unfortunately, it has no weight anymore. Because you're giving everybody a Nobel Peace Prize, you're giving everybody a Grammy, you're giving everybody an Emmy, just a participation award, because we want to show that, hey, we stick together. Okay, you can do that, but it doesn't have any weight anymore because you have watered down so many crucial things in this society, just like with the word racism. You say it so much that I'm tired of hearing about it. When someone says, oh, this person got killed, I'm like, okay, next, who else? Who's going to be the next one? Where are we going to march today? Where are they going to protest? Just let me know and I won't go there. And that's sad. Because it shouldn't be that way. But the media has gotten us to this point. And someone might be saying, well, you're constantly blaming the media and you're saying this. Look, both sides are wrong. The left and the right, they both have issues, okay? Democrats and Republicans have issues. The right-wing media and the left-wing media. But what's troubling is how the left are trying to cancel out the right because they don't like what they're saying. And you can't do that. That the left isn't being truthful. You can't do that. You can't say that 75 million people are white supremacists. You can't say that they don't deserve a job. You can't say we're going to fire you because you said this. You can't say that because then people start thinking that these are bad people. You can't do that. That's wrong. You can't say that all white people are bad. They're inherently bad. They need to take sensitivity training. They need to know about white privilege. Because they're getting away with this. Well, I would submit to you, what about the black people who weren't arrested for burning down places during the summer? It's like, you just can't do that. It has to stop. You can't build up one by tearing down another. Yes, racism exists. Yes, we have a way to go. But the systemic racism that they're saying, you don't need white fragility classes, okay? We need people common sense classes so that people will respect each other. And that's it.
Could you imagine after Trump won in 2016, if he had said, all of you people that voted for Hillary Clinton need to be reprogrammed and need to go for retraining? He would have been laughed at.
And Ray, you know what he did say? He said, I can go after Hillary Clinton, but I don't want to. These are nice people. And to me, that was his fault. He was too nice. He should have gone after her. He should have said, no, we're going to continue the investigation. But he didn't. But with these guys, They're going to continue. It's like I said, it's not going to stop. Although he was acquitted, they're not going to stop because you're going to have individual attorney generals. Look at Georgia. Well, we're going to investigate that phone call that Lindsey Graham made. They will keep it going. And we need someone of high authorities to say, let's stop. It's over. Let's just stop. Let's move forward.
Yeah, it's
Seems
a
so
great
simple.
idea. And it's like when you guys were saying who's going to carry the torch, who's going to do this and that. I was thinking to myself, I hate to sound negative, but politics has returned to the politicians. So we can't expect anyone to fill Trump's shoes because listen, I think Trump had his flaws, but what was great about him was that he was an individual. He was an American original. He was willing to be the disruptor and do all kinds of things that politicians just aren't willing to do. So I wouldn't expect anybody to truly carry his torch right away anyway. But it does seem like what you just said, Rob. I mean, it's a beautiful and it's not a hard thing to say. I mean, nobody has to be Donald Trump and wildly bold character to say enough is enough. Let's come together. I heard the mayor of Atlanta say it after that little girl was murdered. I think she just lost her temper, even though she's a hard leftist and all that. It was Keisha Lance Bottoms. She's the last politicians I heard say, here in any kind of difficult or controversial situation, actually say enough is enough. We have to stop it. Just stop the division. I don't know why somebody else doesn't emerge on the national stage to say that. Biden, I guess, is too weak. But somebody could, I think, really catalyze and mobilize a lot of support. Anybody out there who isn't a radical on either side would have to respect that. You wouldn't think it would take courage, but I guess these days it does. And I hope somebody does say it. Maybe that person will emerge as a leader in 2024 or before.
Right. BB Diamond is going to have to leave us, and I definitely want her to jump in here with some closing remarks. She's been on our panel before, and we do enjoy her coming in and giving her analysis. She does have a live show on Saturdays with Barbara from Harlem. I would definitely encourage you all to visit that show on Saturdays because they do a great analysis, and Barbara from Harlem has written a book. So, BB, please jump in and give your closing remarks.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you all for having me on. It's been a great panel. All of you have been great tonight. I just like to encourage Democrats. I mean, there are moderate Democrats in the Senate and in the House. Ray Manchin, for example. Why don't they step forward if as a decent human being, not as a Democrat or Republican, just as a decent person who loves this country, to say, stop the madness, stop the lies. Because what happened with the second impeachment, even the first one, it really shames the Democrats that they are willing to divide this country on a tissue of lies. And there's no one in the media to call them out. I think it's going to take a Democrat to say, listen, I'm a Democrat, but I'm against this madness. This is dividing the country. So regardless of party, we just need decent men and women to step forward and say, stop the madness and stand up to the media. So again, I thank you all for having me on. I appreciate the time, and please join us Saturdays at 3 p.m. Eastern. Thank you. God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you, everyone. Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you, BB.
Thank you.
Andrew, what are your thoughts?
I just pretty much echo everything you guys were saying about hopefully someone steps up by 2024. Personally, I would like to see President Trump run again. He would have my vote for sure. I'm concerned that it would be someone like Pence or Nikki Haley if they could somehow make it through the primaries, even though I don't think anyone would legitimately vote for him. You never know. I would not be happy with that. And we'll just have to wait and see what happens. I hope President Trump runs once again, and we'll get at least 4 more great years.
You said that you're concerned that it might be someone like who that would run?
Nikki Haley or Mike Pence.
No, gosh. I'm glad you mentioned Nikki Haley. I mean, where can I start? I mean, this woman, initially she didn't support him. She supported Marco Rubio. Then she came out, she supported him. He made a UN ambassador. She was there. She said a couple of things, but after that, she was like lock and step supporting this president. And I thought, wow, I could see her as running for running for president. Of course, Andrew, you told me, you reminded me, you said, yeah, but I don't know about her. And now I see why you said you don't know about her. The things they're saying now, and this is what I would have to say to Nikki Haley. You've killed your career. I will not vote for you. And I doubt anyone else will vote for you. Okay? You should have kept that to yourself. You came out and you ratted out, what's the guy, John Kelly, and you ratted out Rex Tillerson. You saying that, hey, they were trying to overthrow Trump. And now you're going to put a knife, not in his back, but in the front? Are you serious, Nikki Haley? Okay, go back to your state and be quiet. I don't want to hear from you anymore. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your service. But that's it. I'm tired of these people who are coming out and being swampers. We always knew that you were, but I thought you were going to make a change. Really, Nikki? I don't think so. Anyone else?
Just for some comic relief, did you guys happen to see Ted Cruz's new haircut?
No.
Oh man, you guys got to look up Ted Cruz mullet into Google. He kept it long on the top and he shaved it on the sides. There's this hilarious picture out of Ted Cruz's new haircut, and it's pretty ridiculous.
Wait, where did you get that?
He was rocking it the other day. If you Google image search Ted Cruz mullet, it'll probably come up.
I'm trying to do that right now as we're talking because I want people to see a Ted Cruz mullet.
Okay, here. I've got a link. I'll send it. Let's try to email it to you. But anyways, it's pretty funny.
So I think we've covered all of the topics that we needed to talk about. I don't know if there's something else that Heather or Ray wants to put out there. But if so, feel free while I look for this mullet of Ted Cruz.
No, I'm good. I just thank you all for tonight.
Yeah.
Heather, any closing comments?
Thank you, guys. Just reiterating, politics is returned to the politicians, is what I say. And, I think it's a loss for the country, but I think, people will, they're going to get what they voted for, and let's hope they wake up in a couple years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hope so. I mean, this is a great country, and we definitely don't want the country to go by the wayside or to be taken over by individuals who, care less about the country. And clearly Biden seems not to care about it, unfortunately. But, if we just had just a few great men or women, someone who could really stand up and just say, hey, stop the madness. We've got to work together. And because we're all Americans and we can get through this together. But we have people on the right, maybe Mitt Romney, Ben Sass, Lisa, and Susan. Maybe they felt that, hey, he did incite a insurrection. But when you're looking at the facts, these are congressmen. And if you study the Constitution, it makes me, I'm afraid, because it's like you guys didn't even pay any attention to the Constitution. You're just voting because you don't like him or you're mad at him. And you're thinking, maybe we can wrestle this from him. I mean, that's the scary thing about it, that it gives me reason to pause and say, hey, we're not going to be able to advance this because you have people that have that much hate. Say, do something different. Stand up and say, hey, we don't like this, but according to the Constitution, we can't in good faith vote for impeachment. We can't in good faith vote to convict. That's all they had to say. Okay, maybe what he did was wrong, but we can't in good faith. But agreeing to an impeachment institution, agreeing to a conviction when you're looking at the Constitution and you know that it's not constitutional, and you have a law professor, Dershowitz, who says it's unconstitutional. Then it's like, I don't trust anything that you say because you don't believe in the Constitution. You should step down. You should step aside. They must be primary. We must eradicate the party of these traitors. Yes, I said it. They must be removed because they don't respect the Constitution that we live by, and they expect us all to live by and be governed by. They must step aside. for the better of the party, for the better of the people, for the better of the country. I feel that strong and passionate about it. They must step aside. And that's all I have to say. Anyone else before we close out? Thank you guys for joining us. We will be on again on Tuesday. Our guest will be the journalist Chris Chamogli. I might be mispronouncing the name, but he's supposed to be with us tonight. Possibility. The attorney Manny Anacondro will be with us also. Again, we are live every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday night at 10 p.m. Please spread the word. Share with your social media followers. We are here to give our opinion, our analysis of the events, and tell us what you think about us.
Also, if you're interested in advertising, feel free to email Rob or I and help us grow our show, and we'll try and grow your product as well. So we would love to have some sponsors if anyone is interested in us advertising for them.
Yes, if you want to advertise, sponsor us, please let us know. And if you would like to be on our show, or if you have someone that you want to have on our show, we're definitely working right now on getting Marjorie Taylor Greene on the show, amongst other people. But yes, feel free to let us know. Drop us a line. My email is rjharper1@gmail.com. And at Small Town Andrew, go ahead.
You can email me at chaoticvision6@hotmail.com. It's everything how it sounds. So CHAOTICVISION, and then the number 6@hotmail.com. Thank you.
And of course, we have the link for Ray Ray's book on the screen. If you want to purchase this book, it is a great book of poetry, living poetry through the Trump years. I would definitely recommend it. Please feel free to check it out on Amazon. And I have the link there. And again, for BB, Barbara from Harlem, the link is there. So if there's nothing else, we will close out tonight's show. I hope you enjoyed it. Be safe. God bless. And hope to see you again on Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.